Hello students, in my previous lecture on ancient Indian sculpture, I threw light on the prominent features of Indus Valley civilization, Mauryans, Shungas, Shakas, Pahalwas, Guptas and many other places of sculptures. It is a different question that which dynasty deals to what type of subject matter according to their conditions. Buddha in an iconic form remained favorite in Bharut and Sanchi, and anthropomorphic character dominated in Mathura and Gandhara. None of these were successful in achieving the spirituality. It was Guptas whose forms were throbbing with the uplifting spirit of the divine. Today, I will talk about the sculptures of Deccan and South India. Palas and Senas were chosen to restore peace in Bengal. They were Buddhists. The art marks the final phase of the classical Indian tradition. The workmanship, though precise and fine, lacks creative genius of the Gupta art. Figures became more elegant with stiffer legs. They adorned with heavy jewelry and became more voluptuous with spiritual significance. The Chandhelas rose to power with the breakup of the Pratihara Empire. They ruled over central India from their capital at Khajuraho, about the same time as the Palas and Senas had controlled over the earlier regions of India. These figures are significant for the decoration of the temples, but they are stereotyped, have mechanical elegance and technical allure. They resemble puppets, violently jerked into unnatural movements to compensate the lack of inner vitality. They have dull and self-respect mask-like expression. The round faces have elongated eyes and brows, long straight nose with a kind of smirk on the thin pouting lips and rounded chins. Drapery looks like a second skin. Bodies are full of ornaments. The Solankis ruled over Gujarat and represent the western branch of the post-colonial art of India. Here remains show pursuits and lavish carvings on pillars, ceilings and friezes and brackets. The figures appear to move with vehement pain and strain. They are first disturbed by angular poses rather than graceful curves. Gradually, they begin to look more thin and flat with sharpened edges and exaggerated movements of the slender limbs. The workmanship displays great skill and lacks creative spontaneity. The burning emblem of Gupta art transmitted their warmth to new centers in the Karnataka country and in the domain of the Matrakas of Vallabhai in Saurashtra. In the later region of the discoveries at Sun Temple of Gopa and the many fine skillful specimens of stone sculptures at Samalji show the fine touches of Gupta workmanship. The early Chalukyans in the Deccan raised monuments in Badami and Ahol in Nagra and Dravidian Shikara styles. The mandapas are adorned with richly carved lintels, beautiful images and telework of ingenious designs. A new kind of art evolved from a tradition very different from the ethereal classic art of Sarnath with its serene, compassionate, unearthly blissful figures. From the live rock of the 6th century, Badami caves, more elemental, earth-born figures emerge from the dark, deep recesses with powerful massive bodies, heavy, impersonal features, completely self-absorbed, ready to burst with dynamic energy. The simple modeling of the huge main figures, which cover the entire relief panels from wall to wall, adds to their majestic strength. The minor figures are more refined. Tall crowns worn low over the forehead appear to symbolize the burden of greatness. They wear elaborate clothing. The movements goes in diagonal directions rather than straight ahead, and each one is self-absorbed. The carvings on the structural temples as a whole different from contemporary rock cut sculptures of Badami. This stream with tall, slender figures precisely modeled may be traced to the Krishna Godavari basin near Amaravati, which the Chalukyans had conquered. But they hold the strength of the Badami rock cut images. These experiments reached near perfection in the 8th century temple at Pattadakal. At this time of the artistic furor from the Deccan, the classical Gupta art had dried up. These figures at Pattadakal show the blend of the powerful rock-cut figures with the slender and supple elegance of the style flowing in as a result of contacts with Pallava culture. The movements have become more graceful, with the figures arched like a bow, chest and horizontal shoulders slightly flexed. Light and shade effects are powerful. Here, the crown slightly placed on the head. Scroll work is more aesthetically in the perforated stone windows. The notable temples are Virupaksha temple at Pattadakal, Lad Khan, and Durga temple at Ahol. Papanath temple, compared with the Virupaksha, the interior of the Papanath looks rather plain. Mithuna figures decorate the plasters of the mandapas and wearing something like a short skirt and hair as dressed in a coil at the side of the head. When the Rashtrakutas overran the Chalukyans' territory, they were so impressed by their temple Virupaksha that they imitated it in the Kailashnath at Ellora. The Rameshwara cave temple of Ellora belongs to Chalukyan period and shows on its pillars magnificent female figures in the ancient Virupa style. Inside cave is a four-armed dancing Shiva imbued with a rare quality of Chalukyan figure sculptures. Perseverance, few works of sculpture excel the magnificent treatment of this colossal triple bust in which the whole essence of the creed is concentrated in form of marvelous refinement and subtlety, curved and full and alive in the white head of his passion. The sculptor seems to have melted the very substance of the rock and infused into something of his own soul. The Rashtrakutas dynasty rose one of the most powerful in the Deccan under leadership of Jayanti Turka. They initiated a period of Shaivite revivalism. The rock temples at Ellora during the rule of Krishna stands out as the most remarkable monument. Among others, those of Rameshwara, Lankeshwara, Dasa Avatara, Ravan ki Khai are adorned with sculptures. The marvelous carvings in the Kailash temple reveal the final artistic synthesis of the powerful, heavy and huge forms of the Deccan tradition with the slender grace of southern sculptures. Tender love and affection controlled movement of dance discover expression of creative realism. Each figure contains individual modeling. It is light and shade which increase the emotional effects. Deep cavities form the stage for the performance. The later Chalukyans re-established their sovereignty in the Deccan when Thalia II dethroned the Rashtrakuta king Karka II in the 973 AD. Somewhere first and Vikramaditya VI remained engaged in battles against Cholas in the south and neighbors the Hoysalas. Their sculptures were decorative and conventionalized. Scroll designs and over-ornamentation characterized his style. Niches adorned with volute designs curving inwards enclosed the voluptuous figures, and draperies were in diagonal lines, and the Yajnapadvita is now made of pearls. The Hoysalas was powerful dynasty. Vitiga was the able ruler who converted himself to Vaishnavism by Ramanya and renamed Vishnu Varadhana. This dynasty patronized many temples at Halvad, Bilur, Somnathpur and were covered with sculptures. The characteristic of these sculptures were the carved friezes which have symbolic meaning. Elephants usually carved at the bottom, horsemen, scroll work, jalis, hamsas and Puranic stories. The greater Pallavas established themselves in South India with their capital at Kanchipuram. Mahendravarman I liberally patronized different arts as evidenced by his title Vichitra Chitta, Chittakari, Chitra Karapulli. His son Narasimhavarman I, Mamla, began freestanding, monolithic and huge rock cut open air representations. The main features of Pallava sculptures are the figures are elongated, cylinder, plain and graceful like Amravati, but have more sublime and disciplined. The natural simplicity adds charm to the forms. Everything is clear and open, free from mysticism. The figures appear to be a development from the style of the later Andhra period rather than from the Guptas. A new type of canon of proportion is notable in the heart-shaped faces with their high cheekbones and almost tubular exaggeration of the thickness of the arms and legs. It is Vengi style in its later phase which the Pallavas inherited. The Pallava sculptures, says Benjamin Rowland, retain the extremely graceful attenuation of the forms at Amravati and are animated by the same feeling for movement and emotionally expressive poses and gestures. Cholas, the history of the Chola monarch reached its climax under Rajaraja the Great. He was devotee of Shiva. He recorded his conquest in an inscription girdling the base of the great temple that he raised to Shiva at Tanjore. The Rajarajeshwara temple erected AD 1000. The stone sculpture of the Chola temple of the creative vitality of this period of South Indian civilization. The main themes are the various manifestations of the great gods of the Hindu pantheon. On the great temple at Tanjore, the gods are set in the niches, framed in engaged columns. Shiva's figures are practically Dravidian in the station of dynamic movement. Figures are full of whirling energy. Though Chola art evolved out Pallava and early Pandya forms, it has certain characteristics of its own. The human figures less are abstract, and Cholas differentiated between representation of God and human figure. The later reveal distinctive individuality and character rather than idealized type as in the case of gods. The Vijayanagar period and the Naika period, when the Cholas fell, South Indian artists lost their generous patronage. They found sport in the rising Vijayanagar Empire founded by Harihara, Kempa and Bukka, the sons of Sanma. Most of the sculptures are of Vishnu as they were followers of this god. Many Vijayanagar sculptures represent social activities such as hunting scenes, dances and great hunters of birds and animals are represented realistically. Flowers and creepers decoratively arranged during this time. The conventionalized Vijayanagar sculpture has lost the natural charm of Pallava and Chola carvings. The figures look rigidly stiff and features lack expressions. The clothing ornaments became more elaborate than in the later Cholas. When empire fell beneath the onslaught of the Muslim invaders, these works were annihilated. Hampi was the main chair which was looked by the outsiders. The Portuguese traveller Pease writes about the Hampi. Krishnadeva, an enlightened king, was a patron of art literature. Many of the chieftains such as Naikas established small kingdom. The figures of this period generally look rather stiff with oval faces, wide staring eyes, deeply curling pencil line brows. Sometimes nose looks almost like a flat triangular piece fixed on the face. Broad shoulders and sturdy legs are notable features. The drapery is transparent and often tied high at the waist. The history of Indian culture may be said to start with the remarkable discoveries made at Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. Indus folk were skilled metal workers. The most characteristic of sculptures show that Indus peoples had perfect knowledge in all the subjects. A large number of seals and amulets which were finely engraved throw light on the religion, culture and other aspects of life. Modern empire, says Megasthenes, there are wonders with which neither Medusa in all its glory nor the magnificence of a cabana can hope to vie. Stambas or lats display the dignity and grace of the good art. The bas-relief on the medallions have an archaic nature, simple in style. The group of stup at Sanchi must be attributed to his Shunga dynasty. Here, the aniconic character of Buddha and the legends of his previous birth are carved in saturated manner. Buddha image marks a revolution in Indian iconography. In Gandhara, while retaining Indian characteristics, he is stylistically Hellenistic. Features are Greek rather than Indian. Hadda, Vamian, Afghanistan, Shah Ji Ki Dedi, Peshawar were the main places of Gandhara. Guptas were Hindus by religion, but freely patronized other religious sects too. It was a golden age and full of spirituality. The death of Harsha in AD 647 put chaos. The Hunas invaded and India was divided into states. Rajputs were very powerful and known builders of monuments. Pallas and Sena dynasties ruled over Bengal and Bihar, and metal sculpture retained a high degree of proficiency. Solanki's ruler too carried as white marble. The kingdoms of the Deccans are known for rock-hewn dwellings. The breakup of the Andhra was followed by a period of confusion until the country was considered under Chalukyans of Badami. They were succeeded by Rashtrakutas. Cave temples of Ajanta and Ellora reached at its zenith. The Pallavas, Cholas have long developed a history of art. Ancient Indian sculpture is called a library to know and understand the religion and cultural history of India. The subject matter display the economic conditions, political agendas of that time. The relationship and trade routes show communication skill with other countries. The import and exports of goods, garments, ornaments represent the economic standards of the region. The administration skill and the agenda of healthy life conditions are woven in these figures. History and geography too are visible in these visuals. The foreign influence of the various parts of the social and moral attitudes, etc., too has been portrayed in sculptures. Indian art is described as theological, heretic, and perhaps best of all traditional. The mystery of Indian myths and Indian art lies partially in the fact that it suggests rather than states. Hindu sculpture transforms solid rock into substance of dreams and defies explanation by either intellectualization. Indian art of all periods is close to life, not only to the life of the gods, but to all creatures on earth. For this reason, naturalism, in the sense of drawing or sculpting an object on the basis of actual observation of nature, is a tendency that cannot be ignored. In Indian figure sculpture, for example, by the Yakshis, it is evident that in a period before the development of canonical prescriptions for the human form, the sculptor proceeding like any archaic artist was intuitively striving to create a stone figure, not based, to be sure, on scientific anatomy, but on intuitive knowledge of the human body. The Indian artist does not seek to rival nature by imitation, but in a metamorphical sense creates forms parallel to nature. Thank you very much.